Imagine waiting for a train that never arrives. Or does it? The anticipation, the anxiety, the cold creeping into your bones as you stand there alone under the dim lights of the platform. The silence is deafening, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves or the distant hum of a passing car. You check your watch again, hoping for a sign, any sign that the train is on its way. The rain poured down in sheets as Daniel stood on the empty train platform, his breath misting in the cold night air. Each drop felt like a tiny needle against his skin, soaking through his clothes and chilling him to the bone. He pulled his coat tighter around him, but it did little to ward off the biting cold. The platform was deserted, and the only sound was the relentless patter of rain on the concrete. The last train home was late. Daniel had been waiting for what felt like hours, though it had only been minutes. The minutes stretched into an eternity, each second ticking by with agonizing slowness. He glanced down the empty tracks, hoping to see the faint glow of the train's headlights piercing through the darkness, but there was nothing. Just the endless stretch of steel rails, disappearing into the night. He glanced at his watch. 5 a.m. The train should have arrived by now. He tapped the face of the watch as if that would somehow make the train appear. But the hands continued their relentless march, indifferent to his growing unease. It should have arrived by now. The thought echoed in his mind, a mantra of frustration and worry. He looked around the empty platform, feeling a growing sense of isolation. The world seemed to have forgotten him, left him stranded in this desolate place. A deep horn echoed through the fog and an old-fashioned steam train pulled into the station. The sound was haunting, a mournful wail that sent shivers down his spine. The train emerged from the mist like a ghost, its massive wheels clanking and hissing as it came to a stop. Strange, he thought, the city hadn't used steam trains in decades. The sight of the vintage locomotive in the modern station was jarring, like a relic from another time. He hesitated, wondering if he should board this anachronistic apparition. The doors creaked open, and, without thinking, he stepped inside. The sound of the doors was like a groan from the past, a reluctant invitation to step into another era. He felt a strange compulsion, as if the train was calling to him, drawing him in. The interior was dimly lit, the seats upholstered in a rich red velvet. The air inside was thick with the scent of old leather and polished wood. A stark contrast to the sterile modern trains he was used to. It was like stepping into a forgotten world, a place where time had stood still. A few passengers sat silently, staring ahead. Something felt off. Daniel sat down hesitantly. The other passengers were unnervingly still, their faces blank and expressionless. He felt a prickle of unease, a sense that he was being watched, though no one seemed to notice him. As the train lurched forward, he peered out the window, expecting familiar city lights. The motion of the train was smooth, almost too smooth, as if it was gliding on air. He pressed his face to the glass, searching for the comforting glow of the city. But all he saw was darkness, an impenetrable blackness that seemed to swallow the train whole. There were no streetlights, no buildings, no signs of life. Just an endless void stretching out in all directions. Then he noticed something terrifying. His reflection in the glass wasn't his own. The face staring back at him was older, gaunt and hollow-eyed. It was a visage of despair, a ghostly image that sent a jolt of fear through him. It was an older man, pale and gaunt, staring back at him. The eyes were lifeless, the skin stretched tight over the bones. It was a face that had seen too much, endured too much, and it was looking directly at him as if trying to communicate some unspeakable truth. A whisper came from behind. "You shouldn't be here." The voice was barely audible, a breathy murmur that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. It was a warning, a plea, a statement of fact. Daniel spun around. The passengers were gone, the seats were empty, the silence oppressive. It was as if they had never been there, as if he had imagined them. The train car was empty except for an old conductor who handed him a single ticket. The conductor's face was inscrutable, his eyes hidden beneath the brim of his cap. The ticket was old and worn, the ink faded. "One way," the man said. His voice was flat, emotionless, as if he had said these words 1,000 times before. "To where?" Daniel asked. His voice trembled, the question hanging in the air like a fragile thread. The conductor only smiled. The train kept moving. The smile was enigmatic, a hint of something sinister lurking beneath the surface. The train's motion was relentless, carrying him further into the unknown. And Daniel never made it home. The realization hit him like a cold wave, a sinking feeling of inevitability. He was on a journey with no return, a passenger on a train that defied the laws of time and space. Sometimes the journey you take is the one you can never return from. The words echoed in his mind, a haunting refrain that would follow him into eternity. The train was a vessel of fate, a conduit to a destination unknown and unknowable. And as the train disappeared into the night, Daniel's fate was sealed, lost to the shadows of a journey that had no end.